All right, guys, I want you to pay attention to the temperature of that water. A quick and easy way to get that water at that temperature without having to measure it is just run the water on your hand. If you can feel that it's cold, it's below your body temperature. And if you can feel that it's hot, it's above your body temperature. So once that water kind of blends in with the temperature of your hand, you can make a good assessment that that water is roughly 98, 100 degrees, 105, somewhere in the vicinity, and you're good to go. It's going to work great. So right now, the salt, sugar, yeast, and water is in the bowl. I'm going to give it a little spin, and then I'm going to let it sit for about 5 to 15 minutes. This is just going to speed up the process of getting that yeast activated and getting that dough ready to use quick. So it's been 5 minutes. I'm adding my flour, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this bad boy on. Make sure you put it on the lowest setting. If not, you will be in for a surprise. There will be flour everywhere. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and let this mix up. Once this comes together as whole and there's no more flour bits or anything like that clumps, we're gonna go ahead and add our oil. Once everything was mixed, I noticed it needed a little more flour. You may have to add a little flour or a little bit of water. It really just depends. You really should be weighing flour when you're measuring it, not by the cup. But anyways, I went ahead and added some flour to this, and just add a half a cup at a time. It should have a formity to it. It shouldn't be falling apart. Like the dough shouldn't just be sinking into the bowl level. It should have a form to it. It should feel like maybe like some, not necessarily biscuit dough, but it should be able to hold its form. Okay, so just keep adding a little bit of flour until you got something that looks like a dough ball. All right, we got a nice piece of dough here. It's not sinking, it's holding its shape, it's looking good. We're gonna wrap this up in foil and we're gonna keep it on the counter for 4 hours. Now we're gonna go ahead and get to the sauce. All right, guys, now we're gonna put this sauce together. So you're just gonna get your regular tomato sauce. I got this one, it's a garlic flavored tomato sauce. And I'm probably gonna put half of that can worth of water back into it. All right, you can season this however you like. What I'm gonna do is just put a pinch of salt and 4 tablespoons of sugar. I know that sounds like a lot of sugar, but I like it sweet. It's also got a full teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of oregano, and I had some fresh basil in the garden, so I picked it up, chopped it up. If I had fresh oregano, I would have used them both, but hey, we used what we had. This is a close-up on what you got right here. All right, so it's been a few hours, and we're gonna go ahead and prepare this dough for the next day. So we let it sit at room temperature, kind of get that yeast growing and get that dough rocking and rolling. As you can see, look how much bigger that dough is. All right, we're gonna go ahead and prep it and get it ready for the next day. You're gonna go ahead and get it out of the bowl, get it onto your countertop, and you're gonna wanna push all the air that's in it out. So first thing you do, just smash it. Get all the air out, bang, bang, bang. This is enough flour for, well, enough dough for 2 pizzas, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and cut that in half, and then we're gonna roll these into balls, okay? All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you how I turn these into dough balls. I went ahead and slowed down the footage for you. And look, it don't have to be perfect. As it sits overnight, it's gonna turn into a ball, okay? So get all the flour off of it. You're gonna fold it in half. Then you're gonna take those halves and fold it again, kind of like a taco. Then you're gonna take the ends, the open ends, and you're gonna fold them up. And you're gonna repeat this process until you can get one hand on the back and grab it all. See that? And then I pinch and then twist and then pinch and then twist. And basically that is how you make a dough ball. It can be challenging trying to do this on your own, but like I said, honestly, as long as it's in the shape of a ball, when it sits overnight, it's gonna come together. But this is how you do it. If you want to try it, go for it. If not, honestly, however you get it into a ball, it'll be fine. Once it sits for a day in the fridge, it'll be fine. Once you got the dough balls rolled, you're going to want to go ahead and put them into a plastic container. I don't recommend putting them in a Ziploc bag because they're going to get deformed. You really want them to hold their shape and you want them to be sealed. This is a perfect way to get this done. I'm going to go ahead and cap these up, put them in the fridge, and we'll see them tomorrow.
What's that?
That's the dough. Don't touch it.
I'm not going to touch it. What are you doing?
All right, we're going to go ahead and stretch this dough out and get it into our cast iron skillet. Honestly, however you can stretch it out, it's fine. I'll go ahead and go over the way that I stretched it out. So we get it out, dust it with flour. You don't need to coat it. And then we're going to go ahead and push the air out and flatten the dough. Now we're going to make the crust. And basically, you're just going to be pushing your fingertips down and maybe at a slight angle towards your hand. You'll see how I got this. I'm pretty much pressing it into my other hand. And that's going to go ahead and make the crust. Next, what we're going to do is you're going to slide your hands along the crust and just kind of letting it hit the crust, widening it out. Once you widen it out a little bit, what you're going to do is pat it down, flatten it down. And then you're going to go right back to the previous of stretching against that crust. And then once you got to stretch out a little bit, you're going to flatten it. You want the dough to be level. You want this to be nice and level all the way through. All right, so we got a cast iron skillet coated in olive oil. We're gonna go ahead and toss that dough in the skillet, and then we'll go ahead and start putting the toppings on right after. Okay, so now that we're at the stove, we're gonna go ahead and turn the broiler on, your top broiler, and then we're gonna go ahead and cut the fire on to the stove top. Put it at about 75% of the way. Whatever that is for you, every dial is different. We're gonna put it about 75% of the way, and then we're gonna watch it. Once it starts to cook the bottom, we want it to be golden brown, but a light golden brown because it's still going to go in the oven. But this process really is important. Cooking it on top of the stove with that little bit of olive oil is really going to make the difference in a homemade pizza. This process right here, make sure you do it. All right, so once this has been cooking for 3-4 minutes or so, you can actually get underneath it and see what the color looks like. Like I said, you pretty much want to stop this once you've got a light golden brown on it. This right here is ready to rock and roll. All right, guys, into the broiler. This is not on the highest rack level. This is one notch down from the highest rack level. From this moment forward, you're going to be watching this pizza. Every oven is different. It's going to cook different temperatures. I would say roughly 5 minutes or so, but keep an eye on it. All right, guys, here's the finished product. This pizza came out wonderful. It comes out wonderful every time. This is a great at-home recipe. If you use it, let me know. I'm curious.